and welcome back to another episode of Underdog Podcast. Was going to talk about NBA 2K21 Next Gen and Xbox and stuff, but I think I'll wait till later on this weekend to record that episode. I'm still playing it, obviously, mashing out hours, trying to grind away and stuff, trying to get a nice little kind of solid review, the good and the bad and whatnot. And hopefully I'll have it out this weekend. If not, I'll probably fill it with some other episode about something else. So today I kind of wanted to talk about one of the biggest questions that I think we as an individual often don't really, focus on, even though to me it's one of the most important questions you can have about yourself. And that is, who are you? Who are you? Or better yet, who am I? Same difference. So that is a question. We're here, right? Having this human experience. You're constantly trying to figure out, what is my purpose? And you might be trying to figure out, what can I become? But the thing is, you need to know who you are to know where you want to go or what you want to become. And do you know who you are? And when you hear that question, there's probably been times in your life where you've been asked that question, maybe at school, friend, family member, definitely a fucking job interview, right? You have a job interview and they ask you, describe yourself. And everybody has that moment of like, what? Like, how do I describe myself? And that's the thing. How do you describe yourself? What actual words are there created in the English, at least American English language, but language in general? Like, what are there enough vocabulary terms to describe who you are? Can you actually ever put that into verbiage to use certain vocabulary terms to describe who you are? Right? Like, is that even a possible task? Who you are is a more than just a physical or personality traits, characteristic question. We're talking about the metaphysical. We're talking about the spiritual. So who you are is more than just a simple, oh, I am a liberal, I am a conservative, I am white, I am black, I am African American, I am, I'm from the Caribbeans. I love my proud Irish bloodline and stuff like that. Like, that's not who you are. That's nothing. Those are relative terms. Once again, hit you with the universal law of correspondence. Nothing really makes sense until you compare it to something else. So how can you compare yourself to another person or a group of people to help you determine who you are? Right? You can't. So now, do you just compare yourself to yourself? Does that help you determine who you are? These are the philosophical questions that we often don't take the time in our lives to think about, even though it's really the whole fucking point. Correct? Like, this is what it's about. We out here, living this human existence, this human experience, trying to figure out who we are. What can we become? Hey, like, what's going on? Like, and who you are at your core seems to be, I want to say, not, something that you can't change, but you also have to know the difference between change and evolution. I like to say that I am evolving because who I am at my core stays the same. My morals, my values, the expectations and standards I have of myself, or how I perceive myself, how I perceive the world around me. more or less, the more I look into my inward presence, then my outward presence, my outward reality begins to shift. And I perceive it differently amongst the different perspectives that I see inward. So to figure out who you are is really to just keep asking yourself questions. Am I black? Well, no. My skin color does not even remotely look close to the color of black. Well, am I white? Well, no. My skin color doesn't look anything close to what we call white, as far as we talking about colors on a light spectrum. So that's inaccurate. So, or am I a person with blue eyes? Am I a person with green eyes? Are my eyes black? Is my hair black? Is that who I am? Or is that just, my avatar? So I want to make a comparison to video games, because with the technology advancement in video games, as they become more and more a simulated reality. So you take your open world games like Grand Theft Auto. That's a popular, common one. You hear reference often in pop culture. So you have Grand Theft Auto. You go in the game. Let's to keep y'all up to date, let's do GTA Grand Theft Auto Online, because obviously the Grand Theft Auto game story modes, you have a character already. But let's make it more customizable in comparison to our human existence. So you go into the game, on Grand Theft Auto Online, you create your character. You change the face, you change the skin tone, all these different things. Notice, if you ever play these games, they don't ever actually have a name for skin tone. It's anywhere between a light or dark complexion, if there is a name at all. It's really just not. At least from my own quick memory, without actually having to look up anything to confirm. But you go into the game, you change your skin tone, your eyes, your jawline, all these different things, all these physical features that clearly can be manipulated. Also, the same way in our real life, our real reality. And then you go in there and then you decide, hey, do I want to run around and kill everybody and be this person that, has a wanted level up and the cops and the other players in the game are looking for me? Or do I want to just go along and do my little missions and do certain things, or do these? And then within the game, you have a mini game. So we have video games that have mini games within the game. You're playing a game within a video game. So think about our human life. And those of us that play video games, which is, I'm pretty sure, damn near everybody in some form or matter. Because if you're on your phone and you're playing a little game on your phone, guess what? Game. Video game. Board games. No, let's stick to video games. So yeah, you're playing video games on your phone. You're playing something. We are in a reality where you don't know exactly if you chose your avatar or if it was given to you at random. But you basically started a new game when you were born, and you go along with the storyline. And in between the storyline, there's tons of options and things for you to pick and choose who you want to be. And yet, who you want to be, who you are, who you become, is ever constantly in motion, always changing. But yet, your foundation, who you are, is still there at the core. So you can evolve and become more of what you are, which is something that I'm trying to do and something that I try to explain to my kids. Or you can change who you are, because in the middle of a game, in the middle of a video game, guess what? You go in there, let me change my appearance around. But are you not still who you are, where you started from the beginning? So the difference between change and evolution is something that you have to determine for yourself, because that is part of who you are and what you can become. I know I talked about before about identity politics and group mentality and identifying with a group, because you lose who you are, the individual, because it's hard to be who you are when you are attached to a label that is attached to a group. So how can you be the person that you want to be and become the person that you want to become if you are constantly attached to these groups? Whether I am in the lesbian community, whether I'm in the transgender community, I'm a part of these so-called communities, but then I'm a part of these things, and these communities become me. But it shouldn't be that way. I am who I am. That's probably another tattoo idea I think I'm going to get. Like, I am, or I am who I am. Something in that sense, along those lines. Because who you are, can it really be defined? Like I said, what words actually can define you? Because the words used to define you are really just descriptions, but it doesn't actually sum up who you are. If I say, oh, I'm a gamer, okay, I like playing video games. And the person who plays video games on their phone, are they not considered a gamer as well? Like, who's out here defining these terms in which the sense that I'm supposed to use to describe myself? I said before, I don't like the term conspiracy theories, and that's something that I had to evolve from and stop using myself, because I would tell people that, hey, oh yeah, I like conspiracy theories. Something's like, oh, it's something interesting, something it makes you think or whatever. But the more negative flack that you get from saying that term, or identifying with that, or calling yourself that, or in the term that you when you hear that displayed on the media amongst your friends and family or wherever, it gets labeled as you being crazy or something. But I had to catch myself, because I'm thinking, why am I even calling myself this? One, the verbiage doesn't even make sense. So, but the vocabulary doesn't add up as far as the way the terms are defined. So why am I even using this to define myself? And it's not that. I never use none of these terms to define myself. I try to use these terms and put them into relative meaning so that other people can understand who I am. But ultimately, guess what? It doesn't fucking matter what other people think of you, or it doesn't even matter. Obviously, it doesn't matter what they think of you, and obviously it shouldn't, and it doesn't matter how they want to describe you, because how you try to define me is irrelevant. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't care how you want to describe me. I don't care whether or not you know who I am or know certain things about me, because if I don't know me, then what the fuck is going on here? Like, I need to figure out who I am. And then, can I even figure out who I am just in this one human experience, in this one existence, in this one lifetime? Or should I need to play this game a few times before I really get the hang of it? So the next time you hear someone say, who are you? Or who am I? You sit there and ask yourself that. Really think about it. Because that's only the beginning of the journey. But we live in a world, especially in modern society, where, well, first and foremost, we're all trying to survive. So there's nothing you can do about that. You're trying to survive. But kind of once you master surviving, once you get a nice grip on that, then you're kind of left to figure out, all right, now what do I do? Now what do I do with myself? Well, all my basic essential needs to survive are met. Now what do I do with myself? And that's where the question becomes, who am I and what can I become? I know I mentioned it before about Matthias DiStefano and his show on Gaia Network, which I cannot think of the name right now. which I told myself, hey, make sure you remember the name of it because you're going to reference it. And I didn't. But he talks about the conscious being, the supreme being. I want to say supreme being. We are part of one being, whether you believe in God or not. The ultimate alpha omega beginning would necessarily, or not necessarily, but to my logic and understanding and my metaphysical and philosophical and spiritual understanding, to me it makes sense that it would be one being, and we are just the one being basically multiplying itself with across multiple dimensions and like probably unlimited number of possibilities. But as Matthias de Stefano was saying, that one conscious being knew who that being was, so that being decided to figure out what can it become. And we all have this urge, this desire to, hey, there's something else out there. There's something more to all this. There's something. But we don't actually indulge in that curiosity because we allow others, and really, more importantly, we allow ourselves to doubt ourselves because we're afraid of the labels that have been put out there as far as, hey, if you think something that's completely different from everybody else, you're crazy. And that shouldn't be the case. Because why do you need to sound crazy? Why do you need to say something stupid? Why is it what you say needs to be so obscure and so like mind blowing that you have to be labeled a certain way because you, I don't know, decide to think differently, to have your own individual thought? You trying to figure out who you are based on how you perceive yourself and what you can become is all about you. No one can define that for you. So when you're playing the video game, you're playing GTA Online, it's about you and your character. Other people are around and stuff, but they're on their own missions. They're doing their own objectives. Every now and then you interact with each other, but also in that game, you start at a certain level and then you level up. In some games, if you want to change your character, you might have to start all over again. I'm trying to give a nice little analogy if you can understand that. If not, well, you'll figure it out. You're smart people. You'll figure it out. You'll get it. But it's something no one really talks about. Other than a job interview or you know, let's say you're writing an essay in school. Who are you? Oh, I'm Damian Jackson. My parents are Don and Deborah and this and that. And like, that's not who you are. That's telling me who your blood relatives are. That's telling me who your mother and father are in this physical world, in this physical dimension, in this human existence. But who are you? You think who you are just stays in the limitations of this dimension, of this human body? You know you have a soul. You know there's a spirit. So who you are cannot even be defined in this dimension. Because if you can change your body, and this is not a shot at transgenders and stuff like that, but hey, if you can change your sex, then once again, who are you? And I'm not even talking about, oh, I identify as a male or female and things of that. No. Who are you? Who are you? What is your spirit? That is who you are. And you can't determine, or you can't try to label that or to describe that. D words. I was thinking of D word. I said determine. I meant describe. But you can't describe that in this sense. You have to really expand your consciousness to even begin to understand who you are and then become what you want to become. And it sounds like it's a difficult process, or it sounds like, oh, like, damn, what the fuck? Like, where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, here's an easy one. Might just want to, figure out who you are by sitting down and just talking to yourself. Right? Just sit down and talk to yourself. Just sit down and say, hey, Damien, or hey, insert your name. Who are you? And watch how your consciousness expands. Watch how your reality around you begins to shift. Because if you can, and a lot of times too, when we talk about who we are, it's always the positive things. Why? Are you not negative things? When I think about who I am, I think about, am I a caring person? Yes. Am I a not caring person? Yes. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm all these things. I am what I am, and I can become wherever the fuck I feel like becoming. Basically, if I want to go out and be a negative being, be a rapist, a serial killer, I could become that. Shocking, right? And now you're thinking, well, why would you say that? Who would want to become that? Well, let's see. Ask the serial killers who wanted to become that. Was it free will? Were they programmed? Or... So many questions, right? And one question leads to another question. And don't try to think that you're going to find the absolute answers. Because the journey is in the questions, the questioning of everything. Questions lead to more questions. You don't need answers. You just need to expand your mind, expand your consciousness. Because those questions you ask yourself, and when you can't find an answer, guess what? You dig deeper and find more questions. And find more questions by digging deeper again. And then you start to pull away the layers. Because now you're starting to understand the core of who you are, because it's inward. You're going inward within yourself, within your own conscious being. Because especially in the world we live in, everything's a facade. Like, everything's a lie. Everything's an image. Everything's, put on a, like I said, the world is a stage. Everything's a fucking show. So you're being surrounded by distractions. When you look inward, you turn off that show that's going on in the outward perceived world. And then you begin to focus on yourself. How can you know what type of parent you will be? How can you know what type of spouse you will be? A friend? How do you know how you're going to be at work? Because we all think, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you get into those positions and stuff, and then you're not really that. You're not that. Or maybe because you've always been avoiding who you actually are. How many times have you tried to be something you're not? Even though you knew you was doing something that it wasn't really about you. And you're like, oh, let me try this out. Maybe I'll understand. Maybe you always knew who you were and who you are, but you're avoiding it. Are you concerned? I don't want to say afraid, but are you concerned about, I don't know, backlash, negative responses from your surrounding circle, strangers? I'm a grown man, right? I'm an adult. I have my own kids. I have 2 kids, right? I walk around with, I don't know, Rick and Morty shirt on, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger shirt on. Some people might look at me and it's like, hey man, you're too old for that. It's childish. You shouldn't be doing those things. It's interesting because those things that were created was created by adults. Now, in a sense, they might have been made for kids, like Power Rangers. Dragon Ball Z is not even made for kids. Teenagers, maybe, at the most. But a lot of these things are adults making adult, or a lot of these cartoon stuff are made by adults. So are they actually targeted towards kids? But it's just things like that. Like, if I am this person, or if I enjoy doing these things, and once again, that does not mean it is who I am, but the more I am comfortable with myself, the more I understand myself. I hope that kind of makes sense. Because just because I'm saying that I want to go wear a Dragon Ball Z shirt, I go out in public like that, and I'm not afraid to show my childish side. But no. Once there goes the description, there goes the label, there goes the programming, the outward influence. Because really, it's nothing. I just enjoy this. Plain and simple. Nothing more, nothing less. Just something that I enjoy doing in this video game that I call human life that I'm playing. But who I am is who I am. And now I want to see what I could become. Hey, let me try this marriage thing out. Hey, let's see what happens with having kids. Hey, let me try starting a podcast. All these different things are things that I'm doing, but they also help me open up more questions and understand who I am and what I can become, which is undefinable. But we have to kind of warp our minds. I don't want to say warp. We kind of have to deprogram ourselves, and because our whole human existence not up to until this point, but being born in this timeline, in this reality during this time, quote unquote time, you're constantly, hit with information and things telling you, oh, you gotta be this way, you gotta be that way, you gotta be this way and stuff, or you gotta go after this, you gotta get a job, you gotta do that. We don't sit down and actually philosophical questions anymore. Outside of surviving and obviously reproducing for the species, what else is there to do here? And you will say, oh, you got to work to survive. Does that mean you have to get up and go to a company, a corporation, and work? Does that mean you can start your own business and work? Does that mean you can be a freelancer, independent person and work? I like to reference tribes in Australia or in the Amazon. Do they wake up and survive and go? They wake up and survive and go hunting, fishing, whatever, hunter gatherers and stuff. So what do you think they were doing, or what do you think they do now when their food supply is good? What do they do? What do they do? They sit around all day bored? They ain't got nothing else to do? Are we bored in this modern world, in this first world? Are we actually bored? Or are we trying to avoid not sitting down and asking the tough questions? Or even worse, have we been programmed to not sit down and ask these questions? If me, and everyone else in this country, in the United States of America, if everyone sat down and tried to look inward and figure out who they are and what they can become, will we even have these labels? Will we have anything? Because you'll be so focused like, no, I'm me. Oh, you're black. No, I'm me. Oh, you're straight. Oh, you're gay. You're lesbian. No, I'm me. Oh, you're African American. No, I'm me. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to identify or not identify, to use descriptive words to help others kind of have a understanding of you, or it's not even understanding of you. I can't even, I'm trying to explain it. I can't explain it because it's almost pointless. Like, why? I guess in a sense you can say, hey, I'm an American, because at that point in time, letting you know what part of the world, geographical, physical location I reside in. What part of the tribe, really. When you say, hey, I'm proud of my country, all you're saying is, I'm proud of my tribe. This is my tribe. This is the people of my tribe. The people of my tribe. How do you even define? Like, how do you define an American? What is an American? When you hear people talk about, hey, I'm an American, what they usually talk about, what? Values. When you hear them talk about other nations stuff, they're talking about their values, their standards, their morals. Really, when you hear about America, what you hear is freedom, synonymous with freedom. That's why people want to come to this country. It's freedom. So is it being an American? Are you anything other than just what you're trying to be? Free? But how can you not be free? Can someone enslave you physically? Yes. Can someone enslave you mentally? Not without you giving it up. And see, in this mental enslavement that has been upon us, we've been stripped away of trying to figure out who we are because we've been placed in constant categories and groups. No, guy, what are you doing? I told you who you are. You're black. No. What are you doing? You need to vote this way. You're black. No, what are you doing? You're oppressed. You're black. And see, the rebellious nature in me, which I believe is in all of us, I can't do nothing but say, oh, hold on now. I don't like what the fuck you're saying, man. You're telling me who I am. You're not finna tell me who I am. You're not finna try to sit here and define who I am. Who are you to tell me who the fuck I am? See, it's that inner rage. We all are raging against the machine. Well, reference right there. We're all raging against the machine. We're all wanting to fight back. But see how easily those emotions can be manipulated and tilted in a certain direction. Right into a group mentality. Hey, look at you. Look how they treated you. Well, you know, I mean, I'm not getting treated a certain way. No, yeah, but the people that look like you, the skin color that's just like you, guess what? They're being treated a certain way. Well, I mean, maybe that's just where they live at. No. What are you talking about? Don't you remember? 400 years of oppression. Slavery in America. It's bad. See, it still affects you. Why are you sitting here trying to convince me who I am? But see, it's those emotions that we struggle to handle, which is all about being human, being in this dimension, these emotions. And see, just as easily, they can be manipulated and guided into a certain direction, into groupthink, to group mentality. I am who I am cannot be defined. And the words I use are really just words, are just fake shit made up to really distract me from who I am. Just, I am who I am. I am. That's it. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to become in this simulation, in this game that I'm playing. For those of us that, you know, believe in past lives and whatnot, reincarnation, oh, that really, I mean, when you reincarnate, guess what? You respawn. Hey, try, actually not a respawn. Respawn would be you don't know. Because who's to say that we don't respawn back into our same existence, but in an alternate timeline? How do you not know your consciousness is not, jumping across multiple timelines? How about your consciousness changes or jumps into multiple timelines while you're asleep? Hey, those dreams feel kind of real, right? You ever had that dream where you're just like, man, I swear to God, this shit is real. And not only is it about the images you see in your dreams, because some people apparently don't see images in their dream. I forget what the term is called. I didn't look too much into it. That's why I say apparently. But the emotions that go into your dream, right? How many times you woke up and you're like, man, did my significant other cheat on me? I swear to God, I just had this dream. And you look over and you're like, you motherfucker, I swear to God, you better, man, that better have just been a dream. There better not be nothing going on over here. You know what I'm talking about, though. You know what I'm talking about. Or you have that dream, you wake up and you're like, oh, shit. Oh, man, I forgot to turn in my assignment. Oh, I missed the bell. Oh, I'm late for class. And you're like, oh, damn it. It's 20 years later and I've been out of school for 20 years. So what the hell am I talking about? Man, when I worked at McDonald's, I used to have dreams. It was what, 16, 17, 18? Something like that. I guess those span of years. Anyways, I remember I worked at McDonald's and I would go home and go to sleep and stuff. I would have dreams about hearing the fryer bell go off, the alarm or whatever going off. Like, oh, and I'll wake up like, oh shit, fryers, the fries are burning. And then I would tell other people at work and they're all like thinking the same thing, like, or have the same experience, like, oh man, yep, I had that dream too. So it makes you wonder, because through your dreams, can you not explore a part of who you are, the emotional reactions you might have to something? I had a dream when I was a kid that I'll have the kids that I have now. No lie. Cross my heart, hope to die, swear to God, where are the fucking expressions that you want me to hear, or that you want to hear, that you want me to say, that makes you believe that I'm telling the honest to God truth. But I literally knew what type of kids I was going to have. I knew what they were going to look like. Plain and simple. I knew I was going to have 2 kids. I knew they were going to have even be the skin complexion that they are. I knew it. I had a dream about it when I was a kid. I also had a couple, like 2 dreams that I got shot too. So hopefully that didn't come true. But I'll be out here like Tupac. Let me predict my own death. And again, it's easy to predict your death when you know people are trying to kill you anyway. So kudos to you, Pac. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I should. Fuck it. So you got to figure out who you are. And you can't figure that out unless you ask those questions. Unless you sit down and say, all right, man, what am I beyond these terms that have been thrown upon me? It's crazy too, because I'm going to say black, white, yellow. Is yellow racist? Can I say yellow? Or red? No, you can't say red. Red is racist. The double standards and the hypocrisy is so blaring. It's beyond hilarious. You can say white. You can say black. Can't say yellow. Racist. Red. Can't say red. Red. Red is racist. And red is so racist now that because the Washington football team is no longer is the Washington football team, and they're no longer the Washington Redskins. The Redskins is a bad term. So redskin is a bad term, but black, capital B, is okay. You gotta laugh, man. You gotta laugh. By now, I know you listen to my podcast. If anything, I'm gonna say some shit that make you be like, huh? And you laugh at it. You gotta laugh at it, man. You gotta laugh at it. It's almost, to me, the laughter is just what I use to just, it's my woosah. Like, just laugh at it, bro. Just laugh at it. Just laugh. Shit is funny. It's funny because it doesn't make sense. And it's even more funny because we all been brainwashed to believe this shit. It's funny, guy. It's funny. So, like, it made me think about myself, like, hey, am I tall? Am I short? Oh, hey, yeah, you're a tall guy. In comparison to what? People that are shorter than me? Then yeah. Oh, you're a short guy. In comparison to what? People that are taller than me? Yeah. So does that define who I am? Hey. Are these, once again, just descriptions? Descriptions that will change throughout human history, and have changed throughout human history. So the question still remains, who are you? Take the time to really sit down and think about that. To really think about who you are. And you probably won't figure it out. And that's the beauty of it. Because that means there's so much inside of you. There's so much to our conscious being that it's almost exciting. Because that means the possibilities of who you will become are endless. And then you start to find the joy in life. Because once you start to move past the whole concept of death, because you don't know if you're dead or alive. Are you alive? Are you dead? Can you actually determine the difference? Science will try to tell you. But then again, we all know true science doesn't have any absolute answers and don't have any absolute agreements. True science is always in constant fluctuation, always going back and forth as far as what the evidence believes or what the evidence can prove, because there's always more and more new evidence. So science is always constantly evolving and coming up with different theories. So because in science, when you're a scientist, you can be a conspiracy theorist. What do you think scientists are? Scientists are literally conspiracy theorists, sitting down trying to figure out what the fuck they can think of, theorize, hypothesis, ask a question, or no, have a theory, same difference, and propose a question, then use the physical nature of this reality to gather evidence to help you form some type of conclusion that is usually not necessarily 100% conclusive, determining where to determine to in the which manner you answer your question. So if scientists are constantly asking questions about the outward reality, why are you not constantly asking questions about your inner reality? Interesting, right? Why not? Why not? We have been conditioned, programmed to not be concerned about our inner reality, about our own consciousness. We have been programmed to constantly look outwards. What are we gonna do next? Where are we gonna find to entertain us? But not knowing that even the outward reality, the outward perception, the things that we might find outside of ourselves and enjoy or whatever, also helps us determine who we are, in a sense. In a sense. Because if I say, oh, I'm a basketball player, I like to play basketball, what does that mean? Do I like to play basketball, or do I like the competitive nature that goes along with basketball? Do I like the concept, or the aspect of basketball as a sport based on muscle memory? Do I like the repetition? Right? Do I like to strip away the constant analytical things that I think of? Because even though I'm playing basketball, I'm still analyzing. I'm analyzing the distance between me and the rim. I'm analyzing the arc of the shot. I'm breaking it down. I'm doing geometry in a sense. I'm analyzing how much force needs to from my muscles to push the ball up into the air, or push the ball to pass it to another person. Or am I just dribbling the ball and putting it in the basket? See? You can use something just simple as playing basketball to help you determine or ask the questions that you need to ask about yourself. Hey, why do I enjoy doing this? Why do I like this certain aspect of the game? Why do I like this? Why do I want to become this? It's questions to ask. So far in my life, I've done pretty much a lot of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a basketball player. Did I become a basketball player? No. I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Of course I didn't become a professional basketball player. But am I still not a basketball player? Does it actually matter whether I'm professional or not? Or the fact that I just go and play? I don't even play with other people. And it's not because it's now in the past 6-7 years where, it's because of physical limitations, medical conditions. But in the past, even before then, I still didn't like playing with anybody, because I always found it more peaceful to just play by myself, dribble the ball around and shoot. In fact, my sanctuary, my moment of peace is when I'm on a basketball court by myself. Whether it's outdoors, indoors, whatever, I'm just dribbling the ball and shooting. Because at my core, I enjoy the mental challenge of things. I enjoy the emotional challenge of things, being able to overcome my emotions, being able to overcome those mental obstacles. Like I said, Underdog is tattooed on my arm. Underdog is the name of this podcast. I am a person that enjoys a challenge. I want the odds against me, which is also tattooed on me, against all odds. I want everything stacked up against me because I want the challenge. Because I thrive. I enjoy the challenge. And once I saw that I could become that and accomplish that, then I'm done. I move on. And my sense of accomplishment is only based on me and my standard. My son was saying that he wanted to be a basketball player. And I told him, hey, you can be a professional basketball player. You don't necessarily have to be in the NBA. You might not make it to the NBA. I'm being honest with you. You might not make it. But guess what? You grow up, you become a basketball player, a professional basketball player, and you're able to make a living off of it and survive in this modern world the way it's set up. Is that not good? What, someone else going to tell you, oh man, you're a bum, you never made it to the NBA. The fuck difference does it make? I'm doing what I want to do. I am who I am. So nothing else matters. And I get to become what I want to become. And becoming a basketball player is part of it. But once again, it's an outward appearance. It's an outward level. But when you break it down, when you break down the game, I become more inward. You look inward in the aspect of how does this, or how do I feel towards this game? This is why I play it. Someone wants to become a lawyer. They want to fight social injustice, right? They want to do certain things. Or do they just want to help people out? Do they just care about others? Do they just care about themselves and they want to care about others? Are they just selfish and they want to hide the fact that they really are selfish? So they're trying to masquerade their selfishness by going out and doing something that sounds commendable. Oh, look at me. I'm donating to charity. I'm a good person. Outward appearance, where I want to portray, but who am I inward? Who really am I? It's something to think about, right? It's something just kind of like, wow, we don't ask these questions. We don't ask these questions. We don't talk about it. We don't discuss it. Why? Because condition, program. It's one good way to keep people under control. If they're not questioning who they are and what they can become, because then you'll start to realize there are no limits. What? Are you serious? There's no limits. You'll start to realize that just because you didn't become this entertainer, you didn't become the president, you didn't become a doctor, or did you not become to a level that you're told to achieve in this modern society? If you're a doctor in a third world country, but you're not a doctor at Stanford Medical, something like that, I feel like I just made that up. But what's the difference? Right? What is the difference? Because at the core, you just want to help people, do you not? Or do you want the huge paycheck? See, it still comes back to who you are and what do you want to become. I am who I am. I want to become more positive. So guess what? I started to think more positive. I started to shift my positivity. I started to let go of my anger and stop trying to use my anger as motivation. Or use it as a source of energy to use that negative anger and flip it to make it something positive. In fact, I don't even have to dig that deep. I don't have to dig into the negative aspect, into that negative anger. I can remain neutral and focus more on the positivity than anything. I'm starting to I would say argue less with people, but I never really argue with people. I've always been opinionated. I always just said what I wanted to say. pretty much always been I am who I am. Some people are like, oh man, you still seem the same. That you know of, maybe. But I know I've become more. I've become something else. Or not something else. I've evolved. I'm more of what I was. Even when I talk about things like the things I talk about on my podcast, some close family and friends might think, oh man, I didn't know you were like that. I have people I work with and stuff in the past, they hear me talk differently once they get on my once they were on my night shift and they were talking to me. It's like, man, I didn't know you talk like this. I was like, how would you? We never sat down and had a conversation. So why would you even put that description, that label on me? Oh, that's right, because I'm black. Right? Because I look a certain way. Because I got tattoos. Because I have earrings on. Hell, me wearing earrings. Some people might look down on that. Some people might think I'm gay because I wear earrings. Why? The male sex has been wearing earrings pre-recorded history. So, you think you wearing earrings and tattooing your body is something new? Something that's been around for millions of years. Human species has been around a long time. Do you actually think you're doing something completely new and original? And then look at that. The building blocks of our body, their DNA, the bacteria and stuff, been around billions of years. Are the cells in our body doing something necessarily new? Or do we just evolve? And no, I'm not talking about evolving from monkeys or something like that. I'm just, you are who you are, and you determine, or you try to figure out what you want to become. I hope I'm explaining it well. I hope I am. I feel like I try to do my best to come up with, I want to say analogies. Yeah, it's something relative, and it gives you a sense of what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to convey. And I feel like I do a decent job of it at times, even when I explain things to my kids or explain things to other people. But I also feel like I can kind of get jumbled up in my thoughts can get all a little mixed up, and I don't like being misunderstood. I say that because I put a lot of time into my thoughts before I'm going to say something. I said in the past before, I go off script. This is all just off the top of my head. The majority of the time, I memorize what I'm going to say, right? But not obviously, not in detail, not word for word, line for line. I memorize what I'm going to say, but more in the sense of certain key talking points, because I am who I am. So I know, as long as I bring up a certain thing I wanted to say, my message will still be the same no matter what, because I'm comfortable with who I am. And even I'm trying to make sure that I don't get too comfortable with who I am, because I still need to continue to evolve. So that means I need to constantly ask more questions about myself. So do I know who I am? Fuck no. Do I feel like I got a good sense? At times. But once again, if I tell you who I am, it's only going to be described in certain words. But really, who I am is based on my actions. Right? And then even worse, or not worse, but even more hard to determine is my intentions. You can't determine my intentions. You can use evidence to try to help define my intentions. But ultimately, you don't really know. Right? When you're in a criminal court case and somebody's on trial for murder, what they try to do? They try to prove intent beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt. A reasonable. Meaning that you never really fucking know for sure. But if we can get as close as possible close as humanly possible, then that's good enough. Or not good enough. That's the best we can do. Yes, I guess in a sense, good enough. I go murder someone. I'm on trial for murder. You're trying to determine based on all the evidence whether or not I'm guilty or innocent. You try to gather this evidence and stuff, and you see, oh, he had a motive. He didn't like this certain person, whatever. He sent threatening messages. He did all these things. We kind of got him on camera being around the facility, around this person's home at X amount of time during the night. We don't have no image of him going into the house. We don't have no weapon, but we have motivation, and we think this person had intent to kill him based on this evidence. And all you can do is use your logic to, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Still kind of murky though, right? Makes you wonder, because people have been convicted of crimes such as murder and other things based on, things that are kind of, murky. So how do you define truth? Or is it something that you can collect a bunch of physical evidence and whatnot? Or is it something you feel? But you can't know the truth. You can't discern fact from fiction unless you understand a little bit about who you are. Unless you kind of look inward, unless you get in touch, instead of saying, oh man, this gut feeling I'm having and stuff, I'll go with my gut. We all say that. We all think it. But it's more than just your gut feeling. It's something else, because you're connected still to the other dimensions. You're still connected to the oneness of the universe. So you have more infinite amount of information and emotions and all these different things, because emotions are information too. You have a whole bunch of different things in order to, at least I'll say that for right now, emotions are information. But you have all these different things that help you determine your inward reality and your perceived outward reality. It's a wild concept, right? Does it sound like I'm just pulling it out of my ass? I'm just sitting here making shit up. No, man, it's already in your DNA. If you are from your parents, and your parents are from their parents, and their parents are from their parents, and it splits off between the maternal and the paternal bloodline, but all that information has been passed on through your DNA. So if everybody on earth now living all has one ancient ancestor, are we all not connected? Do we all not share the same genetic coding and information, just slight variants? It goes back to that one conscious universal being. And the rest of us are also that universal conscious being. But just slight distortions, just slight variations. Because you can't figure out who you are, or you can't figure out what you're going to become unless, I don't know, you try to figure out what you're going to become by taking all the different avenues of possibilities, all the alternate timelines, all the many dimensions, all the forms of expressions and emotions. Some heavy shit, right? We going deep today, bro. It's that, I'm not even high. I'm not even high talking about this. I'm sober. This is why, I don't need to get high to think like this. This is how I think sober. This is how we all think. You just try to avoid it. So my daughter, when I sit down and we have conversations with her and my son, my daughter's like, Dad, stop. It hurt my brain. So I was like, Dad, it hurt my brain. I'm like, yeah, man, that's why. That's why I'm doing this. So you don't get too comfortable, so you don't get too programmed and too conditioned to not really think, not to really use your consciousness. Don't get too comfortable. Ask a question. Like I say all the time, like I say things on here I'm wrong about. And usually when I figure out that I'm wrong about it, or maybe I'm not going to say I misspoke, but yeah, if I'm flat out wrong about it, wherever the case may be, oh yeah, if I do misspeak, then I'll come on here and I'll correct myself if I remember to. Which I feel like I kind of do. And hell, half the time I catch myself while I'm speaking anyways to correct myself. But because I'm always, or not always, I try my hardest to, you see, I try to stay away from absolutes. But I try my hardest to be in the moment, be present in the moment, and be aware of my inner self and what I'm actually saying and speaking. And not just, out here talking out my ass. Yeah. So it is what it is, man. Take the time. As we wrap this up, take the time to focus on yourself. And like I said, not in a selfish manner. Just actually ask yourself questions. What am I? Who am I? What can I become? Once I strip away all these labels and titles that have been placed upon me, what actually am I? Who am I? What can I become? What do I want to do in this existence? What do I want to do in this avatar? I'm more than just myself, because my own DNA, my genetics that science tells me exists, is also in other people. Hell, it's in animals. It's in bananas. It's in plants. How much of our DNA is shared with other species and inanimate objects around the world? Damn. Right? It's a lot to think about. So I hope you think about it. I hope you sit down and really think about it. Meditation helps too, which is something that I need to get back on doing, is meditating to clear the mind. To find that center balance. And especially, I want to say in times like these, and should do it regardless. Whether you feel like the world is on fire and everything's blowing up, and so much bad shit going on in the world. Take the time to meditate. Even when you feel like everything's going great in your life. Take the time. Take the time to find that center balance. And through meditation, use that calmness to look inward, to empty your mind, right? So you can, in a sense, also expand your mind at the same time, expand your consciousness at the same time. So, as I probably need to say more often, I love y'all, even though I'm trying to do my best to be like, no, you don't. I want to become a more loving person. That's something that I'm trying to work on. It's hard for me. It's really hard. I really want to become a more loving person, but that's something I want to become. I'm not going to say I've always been a hateful, spiteful person. No, that's never even been close to that. I've always kind of bounced around in the middle maybe, but I want to be more loving to everyone around me. To the people I don't know, to the people I despise. Because that's the hardest part. You can be loving to a stranger. You can be loving to the people that, you are fond of. But can you love your enemy? I think this is something Christianity and other religions touch upon. Which they're all pretty much the same anyways. Just take a little bit of information from each other. And bam, there you go. You kind of can perceive the world how it is. In the totality of the whole grand perspective. Seems like every religion has just a shade different from the other. It's all perspectives. Ours all designed by control just to, we're going to go do this instead. All right, well, fuck y'all. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. All right, well, here. We're going to create our own religion. Bam. Mormons. Oh man. But you gotta just take the time to look inward. So I love y'all. I'm trying to be a more loving person. I figure if I say it enough times, I'll really start to get used to it and really accept it and really try to embrace it. And not in a sense that I'm trying to convince myself, but you are what you attract. Law of mentalism, law of attraction, wherever the hell you want to call it. You put it out there into the universe, you receive it. I'm putting it out there into the universe. I want to be a loving person. I want to receive love. And not in the sense that's what you're thinking of. So we're talking about love. We're not talking about romantic. We're talking about love. Whew. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Because that's another idea to have for another episode. Love. What really is love? Yeah, I thought about this often, but yeah, I'm going to leave that there. So be blessed. All that positive shit. Right? All that good shit, I should say right now. Love y'all. Be blessed. Have a great life. Have a great day. All this other blah, blah, blah. I'm trying. So until next time.